Welcome to the Toolbar lecture. Here I'll introduce you to some of the buttons and some of the functionalities in the toolbar you see on your top. Let me just create a small box to explain you the functionality. Here you can see three axes, Z, X and Y. If it's not clear, I'll go to this move tool over here on the toolbar. Now you can see it clearly. Z axis, X axis and Y axis all are perpendicular to each other. Now I've got to move this a little to the top. So what I do is I click on the Z. This arrow changes and I can lift it up. It goes up. Right. Similarly, if I want to take it to the left, I click on X axis and I take it to the left. And again, similarly for the Y, I can move it this way. Now if I wanted to move on the XY plane, XY plane is basically the grid plane that you can see. This is in the XY plane at present. So what you do is take it to this corner button here. You can see the yellow highlight over there and start moving it on the X and Y axis anywhere. This is constant on the Z axis. This is not moving top. This is only moving in the XY plane. Similarly, when you hover over here, you see X and Z light up. So here Y will be constant and it will move only in the XY plane. This is for the move tool. Next we can see on the right of the move tool you have rotate tool. Click on the rotate tool, click back on the object. Now you see circles coming around here, right? So to move it, let's say towards the right, we go to this and we move it this way. It's showing the angle you're turning. Control Z to go back. Similarly, we can rotate it in any direction that we want. So this is the basic rotation tool. So you now know how to move an object and how to rotate an object. Now suppose I have two boxes. The base selection tool is this one with the cube. So you select it, you can't do much after it. Now you want to increase the size of this object. How do you do that? You have move tool, rotate tool, and the third tool that is most important is the scale. You have X, Y and Z. Suppose you want to increase the size only in the X direction, you can increase it this way. A stretchy appearance, so don't worry about that. It depends on the shape that you're making. Similarly on the Y, and this is a uniform scale. And similarly on the X. Now if you wanted to move along some plane, so this is going in the XY plane only. It's not going up and down, right? If you want to increase it in all the three axes, get it here, you can see all three light up. And then it uniformly scales and uniformly scales down. So these are the three main ones that you'll be using. In the next lecture, I'll introduce you to the shortcuts of these three. Next, we move on to snap. Now snap tool is a little important tool. Go to the snap tool and right click. A small pop-up comes up. Here you can move the object and you can snap it to a particular grid or to a pivot. Pivot is basically an anchor point of your object. So let's say I want to snap it to the grid. Then what I do is I click on this. That was the setting that comes up when you want to click on, let's say, angle snap. Angle snap is basically when you rotate. When you rotate, let's say you want to rotate by 45 degrees each time and not by the default 5 degrees each time. So you right click on this, come here in the angle, you give it 45 degrees here and close it. So first I'll show you the move over here. Now this, as the snap is on, you see that you have a yellow axis following your mouse. I'll start moving the object. You see it's moving one by one according to the grid points. It's snapping to grids. This is the grid. So it's snapping to these points. It's not going as smoothly as it was earlier. So let's move on to the rotate part. Now it's supposed to move in the 45 degree gap. See, you have 0, you have 45, you have 90, 135, 180. So it's moving in 45. Next we have is selection. Now we have two objects in front of us. If I drag this way and select, You see both of these objects are selected. Let's say if I cover the first box fully and the second box half, the second box is still selected. Why? Because in the selection area, you see, even if you make a selection outside, the symbol basically signifies is even if you make a selection halfway through or a little bit touching to another object in its path, it will select that object also. If you click on it, it says the object completely inside this thing will be selected only. So if I make a box this way, see, only this is selected, that doesn't move. If I get it fully inside my box of selection, only then it's selected. Now both of them are moving, right? Then you have a rectangular selection tool. Click and hold. So here you can, instead of having those rectangular boxes coming up for selection, you can create circular boxes itself. It depends on the use case. Click and hold again. Now this is a lasso tool. It's similar. If someone's coming from a Photoshop background, you'll understand. Then we have link and unlink. This is a little advanced thing that we use, but let me just show you what it does. Linking is basically linking two products. So you have one product here, or an object, whatever you may call. Select link, click on this and drag and click on this, right? Now if you move this, move here, both move together because now this is linked to this. Okay, now you have selection toolbar, you have selection, you have how to select, whether to select objects coming on the border or you have to leave the ones that are coming at the border. Move tool, rotate tool, scale tool are the important tools that you have. I also explained to you about the snap tool, angle snap tool, these two tools. Let's see you in the next lecture with the shortcuts for these tools.